Alright, my name is Ross Rumsey. This is my Chapter 11 video for Social Foundations in Education, EDAD 831. This video is to talk about the opposing views on tracking or ability-based learning in the different venues, and there's a lot of ways to go at this. I'll break it down first in terms of whether I agree with the tracking system or not. Then I'll talk about the different modes of opinion on, is our education system supposed to be a democratic process, or is it designed to be a democratic process, and is it working? And then finally I'll talk a little bit about multiple intelligences. So first of all, talking about, do I agree with the tracking system or not? Yes, I do. I think that people say education should be equal for all. Typically think that those underachieving students should have the same advantages as those that come up from a better background, and kind of even the playing field. And that's not the way I see equal education. I think equal education should be people are given as much opportunity to better themselves, to challenge themselves, to advance the human race. So I believe a tracking system where students are put on a track based off their abilities is going to challenge the students that have a lot of potential to do great things, keep them from getting in trouble. I love the saying, idle hands are the devil's workshop. Well, an idle mind could be the devil's playground in my mind. I have a lot of students in my classes where I think could be very dangerous because of how smart they are, and I constantly try to push them to challenge themselves. Unfortunately for me, I have a couple of classes. I'm just starting my business program at Freeman, and we're setting up the pathways, but just being my second year into it, we have a lot of upper level students that are interested in business that are taking some entry-level business classes with freshmen and sophomores, and the ability range is stark. Now, I feel fortunate. I'm teaching a non-core class. I sympathize with all the core teachers of core subjects that have students that are beating their head against the wall because they're ready to move on, and they have to make sure that they're reaching every student, which they should, but I don't think the No Child Left Behind, our state standards, are doing everybody justice. So a tracking system where we put students of all abilities in similar classes, a tracking system where we put students of similar abilities in similar classes, in my mind, creates more confidence and a better structured lesson plan, where teachers can move at a pace that fits most students the best. A opponent to that, and I understand, is students that get put into a tracking system at an early age where they might be in the lower level class will feel pigeonholed into that class and view themselves as a subpar student, and education just isn't their forte. They're more street smart or whatnot, and they kind of build off that. But I don't believe that excuse is valid. I think teachers can recognize that and treat it as an opportunity to inspire them to move forward and build off their strengths, and see where they can put them in other classes where they might excel. I love the video where they talked about sports programs don't, especially at the varsity levels, do not make sure that everybody gets to play. And I talk about this with my my teacher across the hall quite a bit, and we both have the opinion. And why is our school not making academics more competitive in the same way we do on Friday nights? And I think the students that are not athletic but are excelling in the classroom would thrive in that and love that and challenge themselves even more. Alright, so I went on about that a little bit too long, but my feeling is pretty strong. In that if you are going to try to make the higher achieving students role models and turn them into teachers' aides to make sure that the lower functioning lower level students are reaching a higher education or are raising the standard, you're helping some but you're hurting others. And if you're going to reward or I don't want to say reward, because I believe students are going to do the best that they can, but if you're going to hinder those with ability, we're going to miss out on a lot of revolutionary findings. So that's my take on that. I can understand both sides of it. In my paper, I really stress that you're going to find whatever information you want to support your cause. There's a lot of studies that will give you some pretty convincing evidence that one system is better than another. Tracking is great for putting people in the right spot to thrive, or tracking is horrible because it puts a greater divide between social classes or racial classes. But I think technology today enables us to turn those tracking systems to help everybody. The next thing I was going to talk about was where was I at? Oh, the different types of study. We have direct instruction versus more differentiated instruction in multiple intelligences. So if we're going to use a tracking system or abilities-based tracking program, this is where I think the differentiated instruction could be a huge boon to make it so both practices could be successful. If we have students that are not achieving at a high level in a traditional classroom, but they're grouped with students of a similar characteristic, they might be a different learn in a different mode. They might have a different intelligence. And one thing I'm doing in my classroom right now is the breakout EDU. Some of you guys may have seen or heard of these escape rooms where you're locked in a room and you're given clues on how to find the key to get out. Well, somebody made a great correlation to using different clues to get into a box. It's the same principle. So I use it in all of my classes where usually at the end of a class lesson or at the end of a unit, where a lot of the clues to break into the box, the locks are assigned with a year or assigned with a code that they have to decipher using the material that we use. And I can use it in all my classes, whether it's my social studies classes or my accounting classes. It's a lot of fun for the kids, and it forces them to use a different approach. It's definitely not direct instruction, but the interesting thing that I found when I was given this this lesson to my personal finance class, I had a lot of students that were phenomenal, straight A students. They were really good at direct instructions as far as taking notes, filling out worksheets, applying case studies, exercises. I mean, they were phenomenal students, but once I brought out this box that they had to break into, and they had to think outside of where is it in my textbook, or how can I correlate this to my my vocabulary, they kind of froze, and they had to use a different approach. And the students that tire or get bored with vocabulary, or get bored with trying to find the right answer in the worksheet, they were just going through it. They were breaking through the boxes significantly faster, and they were loving it, and they were really eating it up. They were using all kinds of tools that the traditional student wouldn't even think to consider, and it was fascinating. And that's where I'm thinking these multiple intelligence studies, where students are learning faster at different levels, are in different ways, are benefiting when people change their instruction. So yes, if we use direct instruction for lower functioning classes, and they continue to show poor scores, that is a horrible combination. And if we use direct instruction to advanced level courses, we're going to see some kids that are really good at finding exactly what the teacher wants, but as soon as the course is over with, they might be having a hard time thinking outside the box. So I would like to see a combination of matching students with similar abilities to challenge each other, to gain confidence in it, to excite the classroom and have the lesson move forward, but to make sure that we're matching the instruction with what fits the student the best. And I think we'll see students that might have been tracked on a slower education path really excel and perhaps progress to a higher level. So those are my thoughts. Those are what I found. I was really fascinated with the arguments with Dewey and Elliott, going back and forth whether or not we're teaching for a job or teaching through a job training. When we read about Cognate and his passion for making sure that we have the right students go to college, and wording it in a way that seemed to be with society's best interest in mind. It was fascinating because in our politically correct world today, it's real easy to take sound bites of what somebody's saying and really turn it in and run with a story that may not be true. But I have a lot of students that I do not think should go to college, not because I think they're stupid, not because I don't think they're qualified to do it, but I don't want kids going to college just because that's what my brother did and my sister did and my cousins did, and that's what all my friends are doing, because it's not always a fit. There's a lot of people that are very successful going to a community college or a trade school or getting an apprenticeship, and very happy and not burdened with a lot of student debt, not forced to live at home, having trouble getting houses or getting started because they went against the grain. And I think we need to change our mindset of our current society, is like everybody has to have a college education, because not all college education is preparing students for what jobs are available. There's, not every job needs a college education, or not every college education trains people for the jobs that are available. So anyway, that's a lot of rambling, and I appreciate you listening and hearing me through. It's been a great couple of weeks. This has been a pretty intense class, but I've learned a lot, and I really appreciate all the comments you guys make on your on my papers and my my videos, and I learn a lot from reading yours as well. So good luck to you guys in the future, and have a great rest of your summer. Bye.